So how you guys holding up? This pandemic, this coronavirus, this COVID-19 they're calling it. It's interesting that they still don't know a whole lot about it. They're learning more and more and more, but they're certainly not coming up with many solutions or even treatments for it that are very effective. So in the midst of all this, I've not been working a whole lot. We've been doing a few small jobs, but I am going to be heading back to work real soon. Our area is quite contagious. I'm in the Santa Clara County, and it is a real hot spot in this country. I don't know where you guys are from. Maybe a lot of you are living in remote parts of the country that the virus hasn't really hit yet. I say yet, hopefully not at all, but who knows? All it takes is one infected person to come into your county, and boy, it spreads fast. I have a daughter who lives in New York City, and I'm quite worried about her. She's been hunkered down in her little tiny apartment with two roommates for the last 7 weeks, and she's going nuts. Thank goodness for FaceTime and Zoom and all these other ways of keeping in touch. I have yet another daughter who lives just outside of Denver in Aurora, and she is also going nuts. She lives in a tiny little apartment with her two big dogs, and she can't even get out to do much exercise. So depends upon where you're at, but it's different for everybody. On the positive side, I live up in the mountains, and I have an opportunity to get out and still go hiking and doing a lot of things. But the concerns about dealing with clients is very, very real. I've got a lot of clients that have canceled their jobs because their husbands are not working, or the wife is not working, or both. And they may have money in savings, but they're really concerned as to how long this is going to go on. So I don't know what it's like for you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing just fine. I'm doing okay because I had some savings, but it is definitely an eye-opener to the reality of this situation. So, long and the short of it is I wanted to talk about paying attention to the details. Now, a lot of times people just look up at a tree and they just see a tree for the sake of it being a tree. Well, a lot of times you'll see little imperfections or little areas of weakness, defects in the bark, maybe insect holes, and you really want to, and you should, inspect deeper to find out, to the best of your ability, what it is. Now, it may be something that's treatable, or a lot of times not treatable, but at the very least, learning what is going on with a tree will give you some insight as to what the future is going to be. When I say the future, I mean the future prospects for the tree. So give me some feedback. Tell me what life is like for you in your part of the country, how bad it is or how good it is. I mean, we all need to hear the stories about what's happening. And today I want to talk about the black oak, Quercus kellogii. It's a fairly common tree up in the Santa Cruz Mountains and parts of California. It's a deciduous oak. And there are some very interesting things about this that I want to share with you. And at this time of year, the springtime, the very first thing of interest is how the leaves come out. And it's very unique. Come on, let me show you.
Would you look at that? First thing in the spring, the leaves come out. A beautiful color of pink. And they're so soft. They're like velvet. As they grow older, they get a lot tougher. But that early spring coloration of pink just blows my mind. These little catkins up there. Look at that color. It doesn't look like that for very long, only a few weeks. And then everything changes. The leaves get bigger, they get tougher, they become much, much different. But if you don't pay attention to those little tiny details, you don't see that sort of thing. It's an annual event every spring. If you've got Quercus kellogii, the black oak, pay close attention to them. Also, look at this. What are those little bumps on the stems there? I wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe those are galls or something going on. So whenever I see something that is an anomaly like that, I pay close attention to it, and I really look close. I get out my lens on my knife. I've got a magnifying lens on my Swiss Army knife that allows me to look in there really, really close. And I evaluate these little imperfections or these little defects, or in this case, some sort of gall. So I wasn't quite sure. Galls are interesting. You can find galls. There's leaf galls, there's stem galls, there's twig galls, there's all kinds of different galls, and galls are caused by all kinds of different things. Basically, it's some sort of an infestation of some sort that causes the tree to react and grow funny. So I quite often will open them up and take a look deep inside to see what I can find. Now, I'm guessing that this is caused by some sort of insect, but I can't really see the insects, but I can see that there are little voids. So I keep looking. I look through the tree and I look for, you know, maybe fresher galls or fresher areas. And it's kind of like detective work, trying to figure these things out. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the insect is. I can certainly go to the books and find out a whole series of insects that attack this particular type of tree. But I want you to look really, really close at this. Look at those tiny little entry holes, but also look at the discoloration of the wood and see how it's affecting this part of the twig. Now, all in all, throughout the entire tree, I don't see a whole lot of dieback or any problems. So I don't think this is something that is really serious. And this was kind of isolated to a small area on this particular tree. But always look closely. There I'm looking inside. I'm looking really hard to see if I can find some insects, some larvae, or something that is causing this. And either they are gone or I just wasn't able to find them. Here's another interesting story. I want you to look at this. This is where a branch had been rubbing on another branch for a long time. And look at the damage that it did. This is on a crepe myrtle. Had that been taken out years ago, that would not have happened. Here's another situation I want you to look at. This is a Japanese maple. And first impression, the tree doesn't look too bad. But when you look down low, look at that fungus that's growing on the bark. That's the side of the tree that gets hammered by the sun. So I'm not quite sure how long this tree is going to be around, but these are observations you got to pay really close attention to so you can advise your client. Hey, thanks for watching, and please comment on my video and hit the like button.